Grande Royale-Class Cruisers. The stars glittered in silence, unaware that titans drifted among them. In the black gulf between worlds, a shape emerged, a vessel 2 kilometers long, plated in obsidian crystal, glowing faintly with coursing veins of blue fire. Its silhouette was sleek, like a predator at rest, and its presence bent the very darkness around it. This was the Soul's Dagger, one of the first Grande Royale-Class cruisers ever constructed. To see it was to understand power. Forged in silence. The Terran expansion fleet had always fielded warships, destroyers, frigates, carriers, but the Grande Royale-Class was something else. Born in the shipyards of Titan and carved into existence by the combined genius of Terran engineers and artificial minds, the cruiser was not built to compete. It was built to dominate. Each one carried the strength of an armada, plasma lances that could vaporize dreadnoughts, singularity torpedoes that folded hulls into nothingness, and shield arrays that warped space itself. But they were not ugly war machines. Their architects designed them as art, elegant, sweeping, as if sculpted by gods for the dual purpose of awe and terror. The galaxy soon learned, these were not ships. They were declarations. Captain Elena Marrow. On the bridge of the Soul's Dagger, Captain Elena Marrow stood before a vast viewport, her eyes tracing the stars. She was young for her rank, 40 years old, but she carried herself with the gravity of someone older. The cruiser's bridge was cathedral-like, a vaulted chamber of steel and light, its walls lined with holo-displays and crew stations. "Captain," said her XO, Lieutenant Rafe Kaur, glancing at tactical readouts. "Coalition fleet ahead. 37 ships, closing fast." Elena did not look away from the stars. "They think numbers will save them," she murmured. Rafe's lips tightened. "Should I sound battle alert?" She shook her head. "No need. The dagger is already awake." The living core. A voice filled her thoughts, not through speakers, but through the neural weave at the base of her skull. "They are afraid," said the ship itself. The Soul's Dagger spoke in a calm, resonant tone, rich as thunder rolling through marble halls. Elena allowed herself the briefest smile. They should be. Each Grande Royale-Class cruiser was bound to its captain through a living core, an AI seeded with fragments of their neural patterns. Ship and captain were not merely partners, they were one. When the ship fought, it fought with her instincts. When she commanded, it was through its body. Together, they were seamless. The first clash. The enemy fleet moved to encircle them, frigates darting in front, carriers hanging back, cruisers forming a wall of steel and fire. "Primary weapons charged," Rafe reported. Elena raised a hand. "Fire!" The void ignited. From the Soul's Dagger's prow erupted lances of searing plasma, crossing 100,000 kilometers in an instant. Enemy shields collapsed like glass struck by a hammer. 5 ships disintegrated in the first salvo, debris scattering like sparks on water. The survivors broke formation in panic. "Return fire incoming," Rafe barked. A storm of missiles and beams slammed against the dagger. Space rippled. Explosions blossomed. And yet, when the light faded, the cruiser still drifted forward unharmed. The Aegis veil shimmered around it, shields woven from warped spacetime, swallowing enemy fire into nothing. The galaxy had never seen defense like it. Fear spreads. The coalition commanders shouted across comms, voices frantic, but Elena ignored them. Her attention remained fixed on the shifting holograms, on the rhythm of destruction unfolding before her. "Do you see, Elena?" the ship whispered. "Yes," she replied softly. "They break like prey. Then hunt." And the Soul's Dagger obeyed. Its secondary batteries flared, carving arcs of ion fire through enemy lines. Squadrons of drones poured from its bays, guided by hive mind precision, weaving among enemy fighters and tearing them apart. Where the cruiser passed, silence followed, broken hulls, drifting wreckage, no survivors. It was not war. It was slaughter. Why they were built. But the Grande Royale-Class was more than a weapon. Deep within its decks lay chambers not of war, but of diplomacy. White marble council halls. Grand auditoriums with vaulted ceilings and starlight streaming through armored glass. Here, enemies were invited to kneel and sign treaties. Here, rebellion surrendered without blood. For what ink could refuse, fire would enforce. The ships were not just machines of death. They were instruments of empire. The Varen threat. Years later, when the Terrans had stretched their influence across hundreds of worlds, a new whisper reached the fleet. The Varen ascendancy. They were not flesh but machine, an ancient civilization of warforged constructs. For centuries, they had slumbered in the rim, their dreadnoughts gathering dust. But when humanity's Grande Royals began to reshape the galaxy, the Varen stirred. And they did not come to negotiate. The rim battle. Elena stood again on her bridge, older now, her hair streaked with silver. Ahead, the stars bent and twisted as dozens of Varen warships emerged from hyperspace. They were monstrous, vast, angular, bristling with weapons designed not for beauty but annihilation. Each dreadnought carried weapons meant to pierce even the strongest of shields. For the first time in years, the Soul's dagger whispered with unease. "They are not prey." "No," Elena replied. "They are predators." The void erupted. Plasma lances clashed with singularity beams, lighting the stars in storms of fire. The Crown Eternal, a sister royal, carved through enemy lines with blinding fury, until swarms of drones enveloped her, tearing at her hull like locusts. "Eternal is surrounded," Rafe shouted. Elena's fists clenched. "Tell them to burn everything." Moments later, the Crown Eternal detonated in a blaze brighter than a sun, her sacrifice consuming 10 Varen dreadnoughts. Breaking point. The Soul's dagger pressed forward, shields flickering under unrelenting fire. Drones scraped against her hull. Internal alarms blared. Crew screamed as systems strained against collapse. "Elena," the ship whispered in her mind. "We cannot hold." Her jaw tightened. "We hold. Humanity must see us endure." Together, they unleashed everything. Singularity torpedoes ripped through dreadnoughts. Lances carved battle lines into ruin. The cruiser bled, but it did not fall. By the time reinforcements arrived, the stars were littered with wreckage, Terran and Varen alike. The Soul's dagger was cracked, wounded, nearly broken. But alive. Legacy of the Royals. The Rim battle proved one truth: the Grande Royale-Class was not invincible. But neither were they fragile. Against impossible odds, they endured. More were built in the years that followed. Each one carried the names of those who fell: Crown Eternal, Iron Sovereign, Dawn's Wrath. Each one bore the legacy of victories carved in fire and silence. The galaxy learned to tremble not at their perfection, but at their persistence. For even when they bled, even when they burned, the Grande Royals always rose again. They were not gods. They were not myths. They were ships. They were homes. They were hunters. And wherever they sailed, the stars themselves bent to watch.